Free to play? More like free to fuse. Hello everyone, Bront, CatHerder here. We're having some fun talking Raid Shadow Legends, and I am here on my free-to-play account, the free-to-pause account as it were, and we are going to talk a little bit about the upcoming fusion. Now, I have a video on the upcoming fusion I dropped it as of today. I'm filming this stuff, probably about 2 days ago as of when this is going to go live, and I think this new dwarf is pretty good. Assuming his multipliers are not absolutely atrocious, he will be a very good champion, and it has to be really bad to not even be valuable on my free-to-play, where I am certainly excited about going for this dwarf. He will be a force damage dealer, which will be a good thing for this. I could use some additional damage dealers. He will be a viable damage dealer for Hydra, I think. He will be useful in Arena. He will be useful for Faction Wars. And honestly, I need champions for Faction Wars, and I honestly need to try to do as many fusions as I can, because it's the best way to get guaranteed free legendaries on this account. But overall, I think he's going to be an amazing champion. So these are some of the ways that I am preparing to be able to do the fusion on my free-to-play. Now, one of the things I do want to call attention to just immediately is you'll notice I've got 1,600 gems. I have generally been just sitting on my gems. I've gotten them from various events, various daily quests. Of course, the gem mine has certainly, been a gem mine. Doing clan boss certainly helps. You get gems from clan boss as well. And heck, I think I got 100 today just from the daily logins. So, I have a ton of extra energy and gems built up here. In fact, if we go into here as well, we can see I've got a bit of energy in here. Not as much as I certainly could have. I use that energy a little more often than the gems sometimes. But, we are looking forward to saving up those gems and also building up the silver a little bit. I've actually got, 15 million silver here. I would love probably about 30 to 40 million silver, but one of the things that I have done on this account is I have actually, taken a look at hoarding some stuff. So let's change the camera a little bit. Let's start talking about things that I'm doing specifically on the free-to-play to make sure that I don't miss this fusion. So first of all, those of you that have never completed a traditional fusion beforehand, rosin is what would be called a traditional fusion, as opposed to something that has fragments, so more the fragment summon like Ishiyama was right here, or the hybrid ones where you have these epics would then be fused through fragments, and then you would then proceed to build your champion from those 4 champions as well. So you are going to need to be able to take 16 rares to level 4. You're then going to be able to take 4 epics from rank 4 to rank 5, not level 4, and make them level 50 before you can then fuse them into the 5-star legendary champion. So one of the things that I'm certainly worried about is chickens on this particular account, because I'm constantly building champions and making more 6-star champions, so I use a lot of my chickens. So I have been saving up some chickens. Now you notice I actually have a couple of 5-star chickens on this account. In fact, I've got enough that I can almost just make a 6-star from 4-star to 5-star chickens. That's good. But one of the other things I have done, if we go include the master vault here, you'll notice that I actually have a bunch. You can kind of see them behind me here. I've got a bunch of soon-to-be 3-star chickens in my 2-stars. So what I've been generally doing is every day for my daily quests, at least when it is run regular campaign, I will run, instead of running 7 regular campaigns, I will run 10, and I will make sure that I build myself another set of 2-star chickens to be 3-star chickens. So I will have enough of these guys to basically, first of all, they will be level up fodder for the champion training tournament. But on top of that, they will then become chickens for me to be able to use to get some of those 3 stars into 4 stars. And then I'll be able to fuse those and make those 4 stars into 5 stars and then thus get the champion. So having fodder is going to be very problematic. So that is one way that I can certainly farm up the fodder. And when I'm done with them, I will toss them in my, in fact, I've got a couple of them right here. So we just go to the champion's vaults. I will toss those 3 in my reserve vault, and I'll just have more and more of them ready to go as I continue to level up. The other thing to be sure you have a bunch of is you do want to have a bunch of mystery shards. You honestly want a bunch of ancient shards, void shards, primal shards are nice. And of course, sacred shards. I've got 11 open sacred shards on this account because I have not been pulling them for a while. I am not going to be pulling any sacred shards on the 2x sacred shard event that is coming up this coming weekend. It is very tempting on this account because I can get a lot of extra value out of that if I can get some good epics and some good legendaries, but I view sacred shards, particularly on a free-to-play account, as currency for fusions as much, if not more, than they are currency for 2x champions. Just because, honestly, their mercy is not great. And yes, a 12% chance of getting a legendary is good compared to a 6% chance, but even a 6% chance is not too bad, and they are worth a ton of points in the summon rush. And without them, it's going to be difficult for summon rushes because I'm going to need the mystery shards. So the way this account is currently stacked up, I believe we are going to do sacreds. So sacreds are going to be usable for the summon rush, which is not going to be next weekend, but 2 weeks from now. And then I believe it's going to be 2x ancients going after that, because we've had 2x voids somewhat recently, so 2x ancients would be the next bet. And so 2x ancients, well, I've already got 33 ancient shards here, and in 2 more weeks I should have another 15 to 20 ancient shards. Plus, again, I have saved up, so I have Ishiyama ready to go. I now have Archmage Helmet ready to go. Working on a couple of other champions as well. I actually will have Mithrala pretty close to be ready to go. I might even have Quintus by the time that's ready to go. So, just working on some of these fusions here as well. And it will be nice to be able to actually use some of these champions. Archmage Helmet is going to really help my Bannerlords faction account. He might actually help my Wave Climb as well. Ishiyama is going to help my Shadow Lords or Shadowkin. So those are going to be champions that are going to help this free-to-play account. So I am going to use this fusion to not only get at least one really good legendary in the fusion, but also to get a bunch of other really good champions through the various fragments that I'm going to be using as well to unlock what I need to unlock to get those champions from. So that's kind of my plan for this fusion. But silver is another problem, so let's talk about how I'm adjusting with silver. So in general, since I have not been building a ton of champions, I've not been spending a ton of silver. So my silver is slowly but surely growing. But one of the things I have continued to do is I've been farming dungeons somewhat regularly. Now that means I've got, I've got a decent amount of speed gear here. I've got some crit damage gear here I need to sort through. And that's the thing. I've got a bunch of gear I need to sort through. Ooh, look at all that Fury gear. Most of it's probably going to end up being sold on this account. Curse gear, I haven't gone through that, but here's a bunch of new Frenzy here, some new regeneration gear. So I will be working on selling some of this gear. And what I will probably actually start using this, the gear enhancement event for, is I'll actually start rolling some of my gear up to +8. That's reasonable gear to get a better idea of what the good gear I have is, because that will make building champions easier on this account. It's something I've put off for a while because honestly, I haven't had a lot of silver and I haven't really had a combination of the motivation and time to kind of do that roll up. But having an event where I want to hit maximum on the gear event, plus I'm going to have silver because I'm going to be selling some of this gear as well, well, that's a good time to advance your account. So that is my plan. It will help me advance the account. It will help me get a better idea of what good gear I have. It will also give me a better idea of some of the gear that is bad, so I can start selling some of the gear. Because I'm sure there's some pieces right here, like this has got speed on it. This could be really good. This could also roll trip HP, and it might be a Faction Wars piece, and that's it. This one here doesn't really have a lot going for it. Maybe this gets sold. In fact, honestly, I probably should sell that. This one here definitely should sell it, just not worthwhile. I always like the crit rate and crit damage, but resistance is not a good stat. And in this set, I don't need to keep this piece, even on this account, so stuff like that. It'll give me a chance to go through some of these pieces, sell the pieces I don't want, make sure I consolidate the gear that is good, roll some of it up. I probably actually need to go through and start trimming some of this Relentless gear. I've actually got an awful lot of Relentless gear, but you know what? If it doesn't have speed, it's going to get struggling to get used. So it better have good other stats, or at least roll well into those stats. And if I'm not paying attention, well, hey, that's actually a pretty nice piece. Not going to complain. I don't like crit rate and crit damage on an HP. This has at least got speeds, and with those, it could be useful. Hey, that could be okay. There, that's speed, but it's an attack percent. I got to go through this stuff. I got to trim this stuff, and I got to sell some of this gear. And selling this gear is going to get me the silver I need. So yes, I don't have the silver immediately available, but I know that I have it in a bunch of this gear. And as you can see here, I can probably sell 400 pieces of this gear that I've got right here because I haven't been selling very aggressively. And that'll be all the silver I need for the fusion. I've also probably got some of these things that I could sell a little bit of right now because honestly, I've finally gotten to a point where I think I can start selling some of these 5 stars, or even I've got a 4-star piece of crit damage here. I probably don't need that anymore on this account. So stuff I could use to get silver to make sure I have enough silver for the fusion. Going back into the tavern, brews are another thing that can be very important. Just because sometimes you only have so much time in champ training. Brews, of course, are very much a good thing to do for 4-stars and 5-star champions. You throw a couple of brews into them and they're worth a ton of points in the champion training. But on top of that, sometimes when you're building some of those 3-stars and sometimes the 4-stars, you just want to, you don't have the time to run them, or you don't have the energy to run through them, and you're just going to brew them up to whatever level they're going to need to be. So having some brews available, very, very helpful. Another thing that's certainly going to be helpful as well is potions. I probably should make sure that I have enough potions for whatever type of event this is going to be. That may mean actually farming a little bit of the void keep just to make sure I have enough of these voids to not really worry about it too much. I probably have enough in the magic. I probably have enough in the force. Flip those 2 around, but you know what I mean. Spirit's a little iffy, and fortunately I can always farm the arcane if I need to. So I'm not worried about not having enough arcane because those are an easy, oops, I need more arcane, let's just go and dive in there and get it done. The other ones are going to be on a daily schedule, and you can get caught with your pants down if you don't farm ahead and think about it, because you can literally be in a case where you may have to spend 200 gems to unlock a potion keep to finish the fusion, and you do not want to be in that particular situation. Finally, one of the things that is both a silver factory as well as something that could certainly help increase the account, I've got a ton of forgeable stuff here. I've got about 100 pieces of perception, 130 pieces of resilience here. Some of this stuff is probably going to end up getting forged during the next CVC because it will be a personal reward CVC, at least I expect it to next week. And forging gear is one of the better ways that this account can put up a ton of points in CVC. But that's also going to help me for silver, because if I'm selling about half of these pieces, if I put 100,000 silver in here for craft 10 of these pieces and I sell half of them, honestly, I can sell 2 of them and make back that 100k silver easily. And if I sell 3 of them, well, then I'm making silver without a problem. And if I'm not selling them, that means I'm hopefully getting good gear that is usable on this account, which is a win. So forging is a win-win. Even if I'm not using some of these various accessories, I will probably use a bunch of them on perception. I do have maybe a little bit of lethal to forge, not a lot because I have not been able to farm lethal. Got some decent fortitude. Maybe I'll forge a little bit of that stuff. I don't know. But forging is going to be another way where I am going to be able to get, more energy to be able to farm what I need to farm. Finally, since we're going to have about a week of prep time before we actually get a chance to move into the next fusion, now might not be a bad time to rework on some of your teams here that you're going to have. Now, I've got a team that farms stage 20 pretty effectively here in Ice Golem. That's good enough for me. In fact, I will farm stage 20 over stage 25. I don't trust my stage 25 team with the way that this is working. But the stage 20 team is fairly fast, and honestly, from a energy into event points, stage 20 is one of the most effective ones, other than maybe stage 10. But stage 20 is going to get you decent gear as well, because you're getting only 5 and 6-star gear, which is what I need on this account. So stage 20 is what I'm going to be farming here. That's fine. Spider, well, technically my stage 25 team can also farm stage 20. So if I wanted to farm stage 20, be a little more efficient, I could do that. I could technically take my stage 20 team instead, which was actually a little bit faster, and use that instead. Or I'll just farm stage 25 or even stage 24. And it's really no major loss for me because that should work very well and should ultimately help the way that this farming's going to work. So I'll figure out which one I'm farming there. My Fire Knight, I can farm stage 25. In fact, I don't think I can do 24 very well because my team for 25 is unfortunately very magic heavy, but it's very consistent. So I have yet to ever need to move beyond that. So stage 25 is what I'm going to farm for Fire Knight. Fire Knight being the best of the dungeons, I want the best gear out of it, so that's great. And Dragon, well, you know what? I farmed stage 6. I probably could farm stage 7, but stage 6 is 100% consistent. Stage 7, I have lost 1 out of every 20 to 30 battles. I'm probably not there anymore because I've certainly improved the core team overall, but stage 6 works just fine. And honestly, the fact that I'm doing a hard high stage means that it is certainly more efficient than stage 25. It may not be quite as efficient as stage 24 or stage 20, but it's going to be close enough that I don't feel I'm losing anything. Plus, the ability to possibly get good mythical gear outweighs the little bit of extra energy I'm going to be doing, considering I have not only a decent amount of energy, but all of those gems. I don't think I need to worry about being super 100% efficient with energy, where I can instead focus on maybe getting better gear out of it as well. And that's always the trade-off. There's the quote-unquote efficient energy way, but that doesn't mean that's the right way to do a free-to-play farm, because you want to make sure that you're farming what's going to help your account the best. And yes, you might be able to farm stage 20 in some cases, but stage 20 is not going to get you as good of gear as stage 6 hard. Not by a long shot, honestly. And filming stage 6 hard means that I'm got a better shot at getting stuff that probably will be useful in the ultra endgame on this account. So I don't see why I wouldn't farm stage 6 hard. And finally, this is certainly not, something I'm worried about for this fusion specifically, but the best way to make sure that you can do fusions is to have shards. And that means get your Ultra Nightmare team going and your Nightmare team going. My team is a 3-key Ultra Nightmare. I have been able to do a key that would be capable of 2-keying Ultra Nightmare about 5 times on Spirit Affinity, but it's not consistent enough where I've done it with 2 keys to be able to save them for Nightmare. Nightmare, if it is not Spirit Affinity, I can't 1-key Nightmare with my current team. Now, that may eventually change as that team slowly but surely ramps up the damage a little bit as things improve on that team. Hopefully I will eventually be able to build a better team overall with particular changes to the team I might want to make. But being able to farm the top chest on Ultra Nightmare and one of the top 2 chests on Nightmare, to be fair, I usually get the Grandmaster chest. That has been more than enough to get me all the shards that I need to be able to do this fusion. In fact, if we go back here, I pulled Sacreds. I pulled all of my Sacreds on the last 2x Sacreds. I have managed to accumulate on my free-to-play 11 Sacreds, and I'm not doing Ultra Nightmare and Nightmare top chest daily, but I'm doing the top chest on Ultra Nightmare daily pretty much no matter what. The worst case scenario is that's the only chest I get is that top chest. I get 2 of them because our clan's taking it down, because it is a 4-key if it is Force Affinity. That's still very, very effective, very good for getting me the shards I need, and that has allowed this account to be in a position where I feel I probably will never miss a fusion that I want to go for ahead of time, especially if I can do a good job of hitting just the right amount of that fusion to pull as few amount of Sacreds as possible and save up some of the other champions as well. Will I for this fusion? I don't know. I think I'm probably going to actually end up going pretty hog wild with my Sacreds. I'm probably going to pull for the bonus epic, partially because my time has been somewhat limited with the job, and with obviously content creation does take some time. I stream, I do other stuff. I don't want to be so on edge on my free-to-play that I am worried about making the fusion. And generally, I have found that you're better off getting the epic, because in the worst case scenario of, how you're building for this fusion, how you're building this champions, you miss a champion and you're not out of it. Or the worst case scenario is you didn't need to get them, you got everything anyway, and now you have an extra epic if you want the extra epic, or a bunch of extra rares if you'd prefer the rares, and that's not a bad situation to be in. And the amount of stress and the amount of overall feel and play for the game and enjoyability I find that the game brings when I don't have to stress over, am I going to hit this fusion as a nail biter, I think is well worth maybe giving up on pulling a few extra Sacreds on a 2x Sacred event if that's what has to happen. So that is how I'm positioning my free-to-play to be able to make this next fusion. I've done a couple of these prep videos before on some of the things I do, but I figured I wanted to talk specifically about this particular type of fusion because this is the type of fusion event that can be very, very stressful. I'll talk about it when we actually get a chance to get the schedule. So we'll have the schedule on the 5th. I hopefully should drop a video on the 5th that talks about that schedule, that talks about how to make sure that you can make this particular fusion, what's the best events to go for, which events you could pertinently plan on, which events may be good for your account to skip. It's certainly going to depend on where your account is in the game and what you like to run. But overall, I think it's going to help a lot of people out. But I think this is a video that will highlight some of the things that are specific challenges of this type of fusion that are going to be very important for you to be aware of. And specifically, you're going to make sure that you need enough potions, and you want to make sure that you have enough chickens so that you don't get into trouble when you're fusing some of the champions, so you suddenly can't make enough chickens to fuse and you miss out on a great legendary champion. So let me know down below if there's any tips you think I missed, or if there's any tips that actually helped you, or things that you swear by when you're prepping for these fusions. I would love to hear about it. You know, let me know if you haven't commented on the other video as well. I'd love to hear what you think of the fusion. I think this fusion is going to be absolutely amazing. I think it's going to be a baller fusion. And I think we are going to enjoy a great dwarf champion for hopefully the rest of the life of this account. And hopefully you can do the fusion as well. I'll try to post some updates on the free-to-play's progress during the fusion, if that helps as well. If you guys want to see some of that content, some of how I'm tackling the particular events and just kind of keep up with that, I can certainly make some of those videos. I try not to bog the channel down too much with free-to-play progress videos, because, you know, if all I'm doing is free-to-play progress and there's not a lot of progress, it doesn't seem like it's an entertaining video for you guys, and it doesn't seem like it's a good use of my time or yours. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I really do appreciate it. You guys are absolutely amazing. One of the best communities in Raid, and I mean that hands down. You guys are absolutely amazing. Much love, and until the next video, I'm Bront CatHerder.